So, back in the ILCA boat park, which is filling up nicely. Young man, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore, to my left, Tokyo 2020 Olympian, or should I say Tokyo 2021, I never know. Back in Parma for Princess Sofia Regatta, and again, it's a full boat park. I know it's one of your favourite venues. Tell us a little bit about it and what you're looking forward to.
I love Parma, to be honest. I've been competing here since 2012, believe it or not, which is a couple of cycles ago now.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Certainly does, yeah. And we missed a couple of iterations with COVID, and I missed, I think, one, at least maybe two with injury. But so I've not done it all the time, but usually been really successful here. I quite like the conditions, and it's usually kicking off the European season where everyone's coming together after their winter training. So
you say like the conditions, something a little bit about your strengths and your weaknesses, because I mean this is a good regatta to do well because it springboards the rest of the season.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I don't even think it's as simple as that. I don't quite know why I'd say I enjoy it. I guess traditionally or more common, you'd get kind of onshore sea breezes of 7-12 knots, which I do kind of quite enjoy and always have done. But
I mean, maybe it's just a little bit of a treat coming from the UK in March.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that said, there's the conditions. In fact, last year was totally different to that. It was probably a bit of an anomaly, if anything. But it's quite common, you get at least one, maybe two offshore days here for a week of racing as well.
So maybe a mixed bag.
Exactly, yeah.
And you said you had a few injuries. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that? Because it's funny, people often seem to sail really well when they've had that bit of time off. Not that I'd ever wish anyone to get injured.
Yeah, sure. I mean, some time ago now, to be fair. But I had a couple of problems with my ankle, which eventually led to some surgery. That was all kind of pieced back together in 2018. Having said that, I did have a small operation before the games as well, which the old surgery went wrong. But all good now and kind of fit and healthy. So
I'm really pleased to hear that, and it's really important. I mean, you're a role model for younger athletes. Injuries, unfortunately, are part and parcel of being an elite sportsman, and that's why actually time off can be quite important. What do you do when you're not racing ILCAs? I know that doesn't mean a lot of time. But
No. Well, over the last 12 months, racing other boats, keel boats.
Tell us about that, because that's really interesting.
Yeah, sure. So I kind of dipped my toes in the professional sailing world I'd done a little bits before.
And some good results.
Yeah, some good results. No, yeah. It's a different world, but one I certainly enjoyed quite a lot, and learnt a lot.
And that team bit?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously comes a little bit of the compromise. I'll be honest, I didn't do that much laser sailing, certainly the training, I guess, after the games. This winter it's been slightly different. I've kind of been no obstruction to the laser training. So yeah, but the professional side, it was something I've been quite interested in. So for me, I saw it as a bit of work experience almost, and a way to see if that's something I want to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, in sailing we're so lucky. It really is a sport for life, but the Olympic stuff tends to be when people are at their most young and fit before they go on to pastures new. And do you think that that sort of keel boat stuff translates well as being somebody who's normally on their own in a boat, or was the team environment, what was the biggest learning point for you?
I guess the biggest learning point was probably about the technical side of the sport. Lasers, without going into too much detail, generally buy off the shelf, and they're all kind of similar.
And you literally get the one off the shelf at the games.
Yeah, although there's been a little bit more going on with that over the last 12 months, 18 months. But that was for sure the biggest thing. I was really lucky, really, to the guys I was involved with, Andrew Palfrey, Sam Haynes, and those guys kind of taught me a lot, certainly.
I'm sure you're an asset.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
And I think the teamwork thing, or if it's simple for a laser sail, I mean, certainly I'd suggest so. The skills you learn racing are all relevant, and I've always been a believer that sailing is sailing. Fast boat, slow boat, it's pattern recognition, and if anything, I think there's more decision in slow boat sailing than there is fast boat sailing, but it's a debate for someone else.
Having sat in a rib for many years, ILCA racing is some of the closest boat-to-boat stuff that I ever watch.
Yeah, quite right. And there's been many people far more successful than me that have gone on to to do a career in the professional sailing. Names don't need to be mentioned. So
of course,
certainly.
But I'm sure you're following in their footsteps. I mean, one of the things is, in terms of getting paid to sail for a living, there are more opportunities in multi-crew boats. But you look at the names, and so many have come through the ILCA class. But I have to ask, this must be your main focus now. What have you got planned for the rest of the year?
It's an important year in the cycle. The year before the games, it's kind of no secret that it's probably the most competitive year in the cycle. Really,
Absolutely.
with many people kind of taking a break if they lose their selection trials, and it's kind of no secret either that almost every nation in the boat park will have that at some point over the next 12-18 months. So, like I said,
that's why it's completely full.
totally full, and I think this cycle's slightly different, as it's shorter because of COVID. So I think those that maybe competed at the games was desperate to have a little bit of a break, which is maybe why last year was a little bit different. Whereas this year, I think everyone is here to perform at the very best level. There's kind of no learning or taking it too easy. So I think a really interesting year ahead as people look to qualify A, the nation, and B, the individual spots.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and going to watch this regatta with a lot of interest.
Cheers, John.
Thanks, Elliot.